welcome to Kima's Never Seen It. I'm Kima, and today the movie we're going to be talking about is Death Becomes Her. For those of you who have not been here before, I basically watch movies I've never seen before, which is like every movie ever, give a quick synopsis of what they're about, and give my opinions and views on it. Will it be different than yours? Probably. But if you have never seen this movie before, I'm putting a big spoiler alert right here because we're about to talk about it. And now that that's out the way, let's get into what this movie's about based on the DVD cover summary. Isabella Rossellini is a beautiful enchantress who changes their lives and death forever in this hilarious dark comedy with groundbreaking special effects that the Chicago Tribune calls diabolically inventive. To start off with the movie, we are going to see a musical / play with Madeline Ashton. People are actually not into the play. People are actively leaving like in the middle of her performing, so they just don't like it. It's not good to them. But then we meet Helen and Ernest, and Ernest of those two seems to like it a lot. He's getting up, he's cheering, and Helen's just kind of looking at him like, why are you so happy about that? We find out that Helen and Ernest are engaged. They're a couple, and Helen actually knows Madeline. So she says, oh, let's go backstage. Let's meet her. Let's tell her congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And they go backstage to meet Maddie. Maddie greets Helen and is just like, oh, how have you been? Blah, 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 blah. And then she sees Ernest and immediately takes a liking to him. But Ernest is a plastic surgeon, and Maddie, straight from Jump Street, seems to be very self-conscious about aging. She, is touching her face with wrinkles and stuff like that. So she takes a liking to him, probably just because he's a plastic surgeon, but he takes a liking to her because he likes her work. Maddie, again, knowing that he's a plastic surgeon, likes his work so much, she visits him at work. They go out for dinner and have a good time. But Helen is not happy with that because apparently Maddie has a habit of taking all of Helen's men. Anytime she introduces them to Maddie, she puts on her little charm and she takes all her men. But Ernest is just like, don't worry about it. It was just a dinner. It's nothing like that. You're the one I want to be with, blah, blah, blah.
Absolutely no interest in Madeline Ashton.
So he lied, fell for the charm, and as you saw, they got married. And Helen just goes off the deep end since that happened. Because of this, Helen, again, goes off the deep end. 7 years later, she has gained a lot of weight. She lives alone with a house full of cats. And she is just probably the worst version of herself. Like, this just drove her off the deep end. And all she does all day is just probably take care of the cats and watches films that represent Maddie dying. Like, she just fantasizes about her demise and getting her away. After that, we find out that Helen is also in therapy, and apparently she brings up Maddie a lot because she's the source of all of her trauma and problems. The people around her are tired of hearing about that, and the therapist pulls her aside. And it's just like, listen, you have got to stop talking about Maddie. You have got to find a way to stop thinking about her. You have got to get rid. And then Maddie's just like, wait, what'd you say? The therapist is just like, you've got to eliminate her. And then Maddie's just like, whoa, read you loud and clear, doc. Read you loud and clear. That's all she heard. And from there, we go forward another 7 years. So again, Maddie and Ernest are married. They live together, but they don't seem like they really like each other. Like, they don't sleep in the same bed. Ernest actually isn't even a plastic surgeon anymore. Now he's like a mortician, and he helps out with that kind of stuff. And it seems like he doesn't really like that work, which is very unfortunate. Meanwhile, Maddie is still looking for different ways to stay and feel and look young. And actually, Helen invited them to a book that she created, like I guess a book signing or just like a party for her new book. So then Maddie's just like, oh, I have to make sure that I look better than her, that I am better than her. And she goes out to try to get more treatment. Well, she just got treatment. So they're just like, you can't do this. And then this man walks in and he's just like, listen, they won't do it for you, but I know someone who will. And he gives her a card for someone to go to if she wants to get that younger feeling, and she just throws it in her purse. They go to the event. They haven't seen Helen, but Maddie's just like, oh, she probably looks exactly the same, just looks unhappy and overweight. But they do see Helen. She has lost weight. She has cleaned herself up. She looks good. And a wise woman once said,
Yeah, fat? You want to call me fat, Mike? Because that's what you call every woman. I can lose weight for free. You need about 10 face.
So as Maddie is trying to pick her face up off the floor, she goes over to Helen and she's just like, hey, how you doing? And they're kind of like catching up and stuff. And Helen is telling her, listen, I don't blame you for what happened between us. I blame him. He's the man. He left me. You know, it didn't have to be that way and I never blamed you. So don't worry about it. We're good.
It wasn't you. It was him. I want you to know something. I have never, ever blamed you. Never.
But then she pulls Ernest to the side and says the same thing.
I have never blamed you for leaving me. I always knew it was her. She's a woman.
Where she messed up is Maddie heard it. So they go back home. Ernest is reminiscing about the times that he had with Helen. Maddie goes out to see her young side piece who already has a girl in his bed, so he's not thinking about her. And, you know, just everything about that night for Maddie, at least, is just not going great. So she's driving and she looks in her purse and sees that card that man gave her. She puts it together. She sees the address and she goes to this random spooky house. She meets this woman, Isabella, and she's telling her, listen, I know why you're here and you want to look young. What if you could look young forever? Meanwhile, while this conversation is going on, Helen shows up to their house and it's just like, Ernest, I know you're not happy. I know you want to get rid of her, but if you divorce her in this state, everything will be bad for you and we have to kill her. Yeah, straight up. Gotta kill her so they can live happily ever after. Yeah. Back to Maddie. The woman shows her this pink potion and basically shows her what it can do for her. And she pricks her finger.
Ow! What are you, nuts? Ow! What are you, nuts?
Shouts out to Trixie and Katya. I've seen that clip so many times. Never knew what it was from because I don't watch movies. And now, full circle. Anyway, pricks her finger. Her hand starts to rejuvenate. So now instead of having liver spots and all these things on it, it's looking young again. And then she's just like, you know what? Let me get you a check. I'll write you a check and give you my entire life savings if I could have this. Before she drinks it, the woman tells her the only stipulation is, because at this point, Maddie's probably 50. She's just like, this, you can stay in public eye for about 10 years. After that, you have to disappear forever. I don't know or care how you do it or how you manipulate the story to say that you're gone, but you have to get out of the public eye view forever after 10 years. But at least you still get to stay young. So then Maddie pays her, she drinks the potion, and then after she drinks it, the woman decides to give her a warning.
Take care of yourself. You and your body are going to be together a long time. Be good to it.
She runs to the mirror and she starts to see her body just rejuvenate. Her butt gets lifted. Her boobs are all the way up here. She's starting to basically age backwards, which is all she wanted. Back to Ernest and Helen. So Helen is rolling out this whole idea that she's planned for however long, probably the past 7 years, of how she and him can kill Maddie and live happily ever after. And she's just like, listen, you're going to line the cups with Narcanol. I'm going to call and say, hey, let's have dinner. I'm going to come over for dinner. She's going to drink out of one of the glasses that's lined with that. She's obviously going to pass out, and we're going to stage her death to make it look like she is a drunk driver and drove off the cliff. Ernest is iffy about it, but somehow Helen convinces him to do it. So now we have a plan. So Maddie gets back home looking younger than ever, and she goes to see Ernest, and they're just arguing back and forth. They don't like each other anymore. She's done with him, and she looks, younger and good as she wants right now. She's just like, I don't need you. I don't need any of this. I can get anybody I want. I can be with one of your patients, and mind you, he's a mortician, so they're dead, and have more pleasure than being with you, blah, 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 blah. He goes to choke her out, and then he realizes what he's doing. He's just like, my bad. And then she's like, going to fall down the stairs, and he's about to save her until she insults him and he pushes her down the stairs. So now she's at the bottom of the stairs, all twisted up, all messed up, and Ernest goes to the phone to call Helen and is just like, I did it. I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but I did it. And Helen is pissed because she's just like, I laid out this plan. I told you exactly what to do and you still didn't do it. So now we have to come up with a whole new plan to figure out how we're going to get away with this. She gives him a new plan and says, after this call the police. But
Ernest!
You pushed me down the stairs.
Yep, baby girl is alive. She's backwards, but she's still alive. She twisted herself back around and she has like bones sticking out of her neck. And then she's just like, I think I should probably go to the emergency room. And Ernest rushes to drive her to the emergency room. The doctor goes to see her. She has no feeling. She's pale. She has a low temperature. And worst of all, she has no heartbeat. Do you know why, class, she doesn't have a heartbeat? Because she's dead. So when Ernest realizes that she's dead, he's just like, this goes against the natural law. This goes against everything. And then Maddie can't believe that she's dead. So she passes out while Ernest goes out to find a doctor to come back and like do some more tests or see what they can do. He can't find anybody. And when he gets back to the room, she's gone.
Just give yourself some time to grieve.
Where did you put my wife?
She's dead, sir. They took her to the morgue.
The morgue? She'll be furious.
So because she passed out and she was proclaimed to be dead, didn't have a heartbeat or anything like that, they put her in the morgue. And he gets her and takes her back home. So it's not really a thing. But Helen is outside stalking while they're driving back in the house. Now, since Ernest is a mortician, this is his expertise. He's painting her. He drains her blood, does all the stuff for her. So, you know, for her, things are looking up because at least he can make her look good again. He goes downstairs because he needs to get more stuff for her to make her look alive, to make her look like a real live person. And Helen had snuck into the house and it's just like, where's she at? I have the stuff to bury her. Let's go. Now, as they're arguing back and forth, because Maddie's just like, listen, if she's dead, let's bury her. Let's get rid of her so we can live our lives. Maddie's upstairs hearing all of this. And then Maddie comes downstairs and is just like, oh, I'm dead, huh?
If she's not dead, you tell her to come down here. You tell her to come down here, walk right up to me, and kiss me on the...
Kiss you on the what?
So then Maddie and Helen have just a quick back and forth, but Maddie, she doesn't want to hear any of that. And they have a case full of shotguns. She goes over there, she grabs one of them, and she's just like, sorry, Helen, and shoots her through the stomach. She flies back into a pool of water, and then Ernest and Maddie have to figure out a way to get rid of that body. As they're coming up with a plan to put her in the tarp and do all that kind of stuff, guess what happens? Yeah, I'll tell you. Helen isn't dead, but she has a hole through her stomach. Turns out they both drank the juice from the woman, which is interesting. I wonder how much juice that woman just has or how she kind of rejuvenates it, because she had more to give just more than one person. So when they come to that realization, now they're just arguing back and forth because Helen is bringing up the fact that Maddie has taken all of her men, always made it a point to take all of her men and ruin her life. But apparently Maddie has just been petty this entire time saying, well, you and your friends behind my back have called me cheap and never invited me to any of your parties with your family and all this kind of stuff. So this entire time, Maddie was being petty because of something that Helen had said. And that's why she ended up taking all of her men. So they both apologized for Maddie apologized for, deliberately sabotaging her and taking everything from her. And then Helen apologized for calling her cheap and all this kind of stuff and not, I guess, inviting her to parties. And then they're friends. Now I don't know about all that. I don't know about all that, but hey. So then they go upstairs and they're just like, Ernest, guess what? We made up. So now everything's great. And Ernest is just like, oh, that's wonderful, but I'm leaving. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out of here. This is just too much for me. And they're just like, fine, you can leave, but can you at least fix Helen first so she looks more alive and all this kind of stuff? Can you do that first? And he says yes. And then he fixes her up, paints her, does all this stuff. And then they realize that if something happens to them, if if it rains and the paint wears off, or if they get hurt and they need, something to be like stitched up, who's gonna do it? Because even if they are able to get in contact with Ernest isn't gonna live forever. So they're just like, we have to get him to drink the potion. So as Ernest is about to leave, they knock him out. They both hit him with vases and he wakes up in the woman's castle and she's doing the whole spiel with him too. Pricks his finger.
Ow! What are you, nuts?
And tells him he'll stay young forever. He'll never die, blah, 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 blah. And he's this close to drinking the serum until he realizes Sure, I'll look great forever. Sure, I'll live forever. But everyone around me that I love and everything around me will die. There'll be no point to this anymore. This is a terrible way to live. So instead of drinking it, he runs away. There's a whole chase montage. He's running through crowds. He's trying to get away. And he ends up hanging from this thing and ends up falling. He doesn't die because he falls into a pool, but he ends up falling into a pool and he actually gets away. Nobody catches him. He runs away scot-free. And the girls are just well, we can't find him. We're going to have to do this for ourselves because they're already peeling and looked all messed up. They're just well, I guess we're going to be stuck together doing all this forever.
Yeah, forever.
So then 37 years later, we're at Ernest's funeral. At this point, he probably was in his 80s, I would guess. I think they were all in their 50s or late 40s at that time. So he's probably in his 80s. And the pastor, preacher, priest man, I don't know. He is, giving the eulogy and everything. And he's talking about how, he married his wife at 50. He had 6 kids and adopted kids all around the world. What he's given back to the world is just something that is to be admired. He really lived his life, and he proves that is what living forever means. Really putting your mark on the world and making a difference in the world. Now, Helen and Maddie both showed up to the funeral. Makes sense. And they look toe up. I don't know what they did to look like that, but they left the funeral to go do some touch-ups, and boy, they don't look good. And then so they're kind of arguing back and forth because again they're just trying to make sure that they keep themselves looking all right, and they end up falling down the steps and fall to the ground and their bodies explode. They literally dismember from everywhere, but they're still alive.
Do you remember where you parked the car?
And that's how the movie ends. This movie got a 58% on Rotten Tomatoes. And let me just tell you something. I think that is wrong. Personally, I actually really like this movie. I thought it was funny. It was really interesting, the different scenarios and things like that were happening in there as far as the friend dynamic and the pettiness of it all. But I think this was a funny movie. I think it was a good movie. When I first watched it, I thought it was going to remind me of the movie Substance. Check out that video if you didn't watch me review that. But it's not really like that. I guess slightly related, but not really. It's just its own thing, and it's funny. I really liked it. I would bump this up to the 70s, not gonna lie. 60s the lowest. I think this was a pretty good movie. But that's it for my video, and thank you so much for tuning in this week. Per usual, if there's something you agree with, don't agree with, you want to say how good I did, or you have any movie suggestions for me in the future, please leave a comment down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment, and follow me on social media. I'm at Kima's Never Seen It on Instagram and TikTok, and that's Kima J on Blue Sky. If you also want to give me any movie suggestions on those pieces of social media, that would be great too. I do, especially on TikTok, I do make videos where I ask for suggestions or just any movies that might fit a monthly theme that I'm doing. And it wouldn't be me if I didn't express my gratitude and appreciation for you tuning in this week. Even if you haven't been here before and this is your first time seeing me, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. But I got more videos back there. Go watch them. And subscribe at the very least. Just click the button. But that's it for this week, you guys. And I will see you back here next Thursday. Bye.